Question number 8, actually questions 8 and 9, refer to the information below. This is a physics question. It's a science question, an application of math in science. The relationship between force and distance is shown below. Force equals a constant divided by distance to the second power. And the question is, what effect would doubling the distance, if the distance is greater than 2 units, have on the force? Now, before I read the choices, I'm just going to use some example numbers here. It says, what effect would doubling the distance, that means multiplying it by 2, if the distance is greater than 2 units? So let's use something that's greater than 2 units. So I'm going to say that distance is 3. That's greater than 2 units. So let's work our formula if distance is 3. So we would have force equaling a constant. And you could pick any constant you want to make this work. Distance to the second power. That's my formula. So I'm just going to pick a constant at random, and I like a 1 because a 1 doesn't really change value drastically, but you could pick any constant you want. I'm going to use 1, and constant means it doesn't change. It's constant. So for this example, I'm going to use 1 as my constant. So force equals my constant 1 over distance, which is 3 in my case, to the second power, or 1/9. So let's see what happens when I let distance be 4. And I'm just making up numbers. You could use any numbers in the world to do this. But remember, constant means it doesn't change, so we're going to keep it at a 1. We're going to hold that constant, but change the distance. So what's happening to our formula? We have force equals the constant 1 over 4 to the second, which would be 4 times 4, or 16. So as that distance is getting bigger, the force is getting smaller. Let me do one more so that you can see what's happening. So distance, this time I'm going to use a 5. And we're going to let the constant stay constant. So we're going to let it be a 1. So force is going to be 1 over 5 to the second power, which is 1/25. So that fraction is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So what this tells me, the conclusion that I can draw, as distance gets bigger, so as I let that distance grow, force gets smaller. This is called an inverse proportionate relationship. As one gets bigger, the other gets smaller. They're going in opposite directions. So this is the key that we have to understand to answer this question. All right, let's look at our choices. The force would be equal to the original force divided by the constant. No, It's not equal. The force gets smaller. The force would be twice or 2 times the original force. It's not going to double, it's getting smaller. The new force would be more than double the original force. No, it's getting smaller. The new force would be half the original force. Okay, that one's getting smaller. But do any of these show you 1/2? They do not. It is not half. The new force would be less than half of the original force. That is the true one. Those fractions get smaller and smaller as you increase the distance. And this is not an easy question in my opinion. Even the test says this is a difficult one. There are other ways we could do this, but I think for me this is the easiest way to explain it.